Dehancer. Dehancer is a powerful invitation to bring analog film magic into your edits. So, for a while now, I'm trying to achieve the film emulation look within my videos. I would watch tutorial after tutorial after tutorial on tips and tricks on how to get this look with your digital camera. And at times, I feel like I was close, but something still didn't feel right. Later on, I got an email from a company called Dehancer, which I was excited to hear from. They wanted me to review their product and to give my honest opinion on it. So here are my thoughts on Dehancer. What's going on, everyone? So off rip, I will say thank you, Dehancer, for letting me use your product, your plugin. I really like using Dehancer because once you understand what each tab does, you can tune your footage to get the look that you really want. So if you want to tweak anything, really, you just have to use the slider. The program itself is very easy to use. It's not complicated. One of the negative sides to using Dehancer is if you don't have a really good computer, it's going to make your timeline and your playback very slow, and even at times, it might make your program freeze depending on what program you're using and the computer that you're using. And that's the only negative side that I came across. It's very heavy on your computer, and it will make the exporting process a lot more longer. But I will say the footage looks amazing. So, but all right, yeah, let's dive right into it. So once you open up your project, first thing you're going to do is you're going to Dehancer, and then you're going to drag and drop. Once you drag it onto your adjustment layer, it's going to, by default, turn your footage into Rec 709. So let's change that. And you can change the source. What I usually like to do is I like to choose my camera, and then the camera that I use is the Panasonic Lumix S1H, and I shot it in log, Panasonic Lumix S1H vlog. And then that's looking a little bit more better, but I kind of want to make this a little bit more warmer. And one thing that I like about Dehancer is that you don't have to go over to your colors tab to change the temperature. Everything you can do is right in here. So I'm going to just use the slider. I'm going to bring this a little to the right, just to my liking. And I'm going to make the tint just a little bit less green. And I'm kind of liking that. Next, you have the film tab. And the film is where you would, well, first off, the film has 60 plus film stocks that you can choose from, which amazing. So thank you for that, Dehancer. Yeah, you can really go through all of these film profiles. I haven't gone through all of them. I've only tested out a couple, and I will say that Fuji's all right. I kind of like Fuji. The one that I use for Fuji, I think it was Fuji Color Pro. I really can't remember, but I usually like to use one of the Kodaks, 200T, or sometimes I'll even do the 250D or the 50D. But go through all of these, find the one that you like, and you can just go from there. And now next, the one thing that you want to always remember to do whenever you're working in Dehancer, or with Dehancer I should say, is that you want to always make sure that this is enabled, because when it's not, you're not adding in the changes that you want changed. Okay, so next we have Film Developer, and now in this tab, this is where you can really hone into the specific custom look that you want within your image. First off, let's enable this. For me, I want to add in a little bit more contrast. Really haven't messed around with this too much, but you can really tweak this however you would like. Next, you have the film compression. And the film compression, I haven't messed too much around, but this is where you would start to really get your analog look or your film look within your video. First, going to enable this. Let's see the white point. I kind of want to turn it down just a bit. That's not just a bit. I want to turn it down. Okay, so next we have expand. And again, I haven't messed too much with expand, but I found out that this is where you can fix any clipping or like crushed blacks within your video. And you can change it from normal to just Luma. Again, I haven't messed too much around with it, but that's the whole purpose for this. As you can see, if the more that I turn up the white point, the more it kind of like preserves the highlights. And I'm guessing it's the same thing for any crushed blacks that you see in your image. Next you have the print, and the print is nice because this is like the process of your footage printed on like photo print. That's kind of like the best way I can put it. And I really like this because the analog range limiter kind of adds a little bit more of that film look to your footage, which is nice. You can go down to here and then you can choose some of the profiles that they give you. I usually use the Kodak print film or the glossy paper. And now one thing that I will say that I don't like about this, so you kind of see how like there's a little bit of like banding, I think that's what it's called, in my footage. So if I can, let's see if I can go to the black points and fix that. Yeah, it's a little better. I think I have to go, not really. I have to go over to the contrast, because maybe there's just a little bit too much contrast. Yeah, that's a little better. So this is before. You can see a little bit right over here. This is after, which is all right. You know what I'm saying? It's cool. It's chilling. Kind of want to make DC a little bit more contrasty. Honestly, I'm gonna keep it at that, but I think I'm gonna change the Kodak Vision 3. I'm gonna try the 500T tonal contrast. I'm gonna make this a little bit more contrasty, not too much. Like so. And now down to the color head, this is where you can really add in, I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory to an extent. So same thing over here, you want to first enable, and then you can just change the color. Like so, if I'm using the slider to the left, it's making it more yellow. To the right, it's making it more blue. Another cool thing about this is that this gang is where you can change all of the colors at once, as you can see. But again, I haven't really messed around with the color head too much. I haven't had a reason to mess with it too much yet. This is like imagining the temperature slider and the tint slider. So basically, if I'm moving this to the left, it's gonna make it a little bit more cooler just in the shadows. And if I move it to the right, same thing, but make it warmer in the shadows. Midtones is the same thing. You're just messing around with the colors or the temperature in the shadows, midtones. This next half of Dehancer is like, I'm thankful. First, we have the film grain, and I really like Dehancer's film grain because it feels like film grain and Dehancer is embedded into your footage compared to if you're just using an overlay. An overlay, it kind of doesn't feel like the grain is a part of the image. Like it is, but I don't know how to explain it. And I really like the film grain and Dehancer because there's a bunch that you can choose from. I usually go with a 35mm, but you can choose from any of these, and then make sure that it's enabled. Next, we have the halation, which is where it'll add that red/orange soft glow around bright objects such as lamps, and honestly, any type of light source really. One thing I like about this is that with halation, first you want to enable, and then you can turn on mask mode, which will show you what parts of the image where halation is being added. You can go through any one of these, or you can customize it, which I haven't really used before, but I came across that if you use the no remjet, more of your image is gonna have halation. So 35, you can see that there's more being added right over here on the sides. And now let's take off mask mode to see how it looks. And you can see that the red flow is kind of being added all on the edges. I'm gonna keep this off for now. And then next we have bloom, which kind of softens up your whole image. Yeah, that's pretty much bloom. I enjoy using bloom. It has the same thing where you can turn on the mask mode to show what parts of the image has the bloom, and you can mess around with the different types of presets that they have, or profiles I should say. I think I'm gonna keep it at 16 just so I can see most of what's being. Yeah, so the bloom kind of just adds a little bit more of a softer glow to your image. But now you have the film damage, which adds the particles around in your image. Let's see if this will play so I can show you guys. Yeah, it's very laggy, but you kind of see the particles being added. It's like dust, which is kind of cool. I like using the film damage added in with the film breath and then the gate weave, and then to top it off the overscan. But using all of those is very heavy on your computer. Now with the film breath is kind of like where your footage is going to be changing. It looks like it's changing like color on top of exposure, but very quickly. It's like, I think it's better to show than explain. So this is film. I'm gonna turn this off so then I can have a better playback. So let's see if you guys can see. Yep, this is my computer's frozen at the moment. Literally, this is the only downside to Dehancer. The only downside. But yeah, it's kind of hard to show. But the reason why I say that, the film damage goes really well with the film breath, the gate weave, and the overscan, because it all adds to the look of you using film. And at the end of the day, that's kind of the main goal for me, at least. But yeah, film breath, it basically just, you'll see slight changes, quick changes, but slight, in your exposure and color. Gate weave is basically where your footage will have a little bit of jitter, as if you're pulling a film strip through a film camera, and it adds a little bit of jitter to your footage, which I like. And that's why I think it goes really good with the film breath and the film damage. And then I'll show you why the overscan. So enabled, again, I doubt you'll be able to see this, but, or notice it, I should say. Especially since the quality is a little bit lower, but yeah, it just adds a slight jitter to your footage. And now you have overscan, which I feel like a lot of people will truly appreciate, because you don't have to get overlays to have the borders of what I'm about to show you. So first, let's enable this. And you can see that the default is a Super 35 millimeter overlay. And you have all these to choose from. And then you have Vignette, which adds a slight dark ring, very soft and subtle around your image. So you can kind of see that, like over here on the edges, it's a little bit more darker. If we turn this down a little bit more, you can kind of see. Yeah, and then last but not least, another cool thing is that you have the false colors to see what's overexposed or underexposed, what's clipping. And then you have output, which is you can just turn down the overall color grade that you did. And then if you want to save this to your computer, you can export this LUT. So you don't have to go through this whole process again. Yeah, that's Dehancer. I can't stress this enough. Thank you, Dehancer, for letting me use your product for a month and just to finally test it out, because I've been wanting to try out. First off, I've been trying to do as much research as possible to be able to do all this within your editing program. I'm really grateful. Thank you, Dehancer. I really like using your plugin. The only downside is how heavy it is on your computer. But other than that, there's a lot of positive things all across the board. So yeah, if you have any questions about anything, let me know in the comments below. Other than that, have a great day today, and I'll see you next time. Peace. All right. What's going on, everyone? First off, I just want to say thank you so much for watching my video. It really means a lot. And I also want to say, if you want to try using Dehancer, they have a 2-week free trial version for you to use. And then after those 2 weeks is over, if you guys want to purchase the full version, you can use my promo code GRANTKILLINIT for 10% off. And I would receive 10% from the total price. And if you guys have any questions about anything related to Dehancer or just anything in general, let me know in the comments below. And other than that, I hope you guys have a great day today, and I'll see you next time. Peace.